Keith, what is your stance on abortion as an OBGYN?
Well, as an OBGYN, of course, I have a different outlook on it because I worked with abortions constantly and with pregnant women and that type of thing. I am not one that ever did elective abortions, but I think, before we even start, I think we have to define what abortion is.
Okay.
Because there are many, many types of abortions, and most people, when they hear the word abortion, all it is to them is termination of a normal pregnancy. But there are spontaneous abortions, there are missed abortions, there are incomplete abortions that take place just naturally, and there are abortions that are done to actually save the life of a fetus, and there are abortions that are done to save the life of a mother. And so to have a law that says you can't do abortions really ties the doctor's hands when it comes to maybe saving lives. And I think most people don't understand that. But I chose as an OBGYN not to do abortions myself. But if a patient needed an abortion or was going to have an abortion, I made sure that they went somewhere where they got good care, and then I cared for them if they came back. May sound like a double standard, but I just chose not to do the procedure myself. And but I think there's been so much misinformation about abortions, and people have just one idea when they look at it, saying it's just killing babies. And having a law that prohibits doctors from practicing medicine, I think, is very dangerous also. I personally feel like legalized abortion is the way to go because I practiced before they had legalized abortion. And back then we used to have mothers brought in that were dead or dying or horribly infected because they went to back alleys and had their abortions. We have to remember abortions have been going on for over 2,000 years. It's not something new, and it's going to continue to go on. One of the big problems I see is in contraception. I think if there weren't so many different religious beliefs that forbid contraception, we could probably avoid an awful lot of the present day abortions. But I think when we think about legalized abortion, we have to remove the term termination of pregnancy because there's a lot more to abortion than just killing a baby as we see the signs people carrying around.
What do you think about the people that believe there's no exception to abortion, for example, rape or incest?
I think that's an unfortunate concept, really. It kind of falls in the same category of everybody saying, well, we could always let these babies out for an abortion, for adoption. And, a lot of babies are born that are unwanted and let out for adoption. And many of them do find good homes, but they can find bad homes also, or they can be left with no homes. So anyway, I think I went off on the spiel about adoption at that point, but people feel adoption the same way as they do about like rape or incest. They always say, well, if they don't want the baby, go ahead and carry it to term and then let it out. But I think if these same people had to face the situation themselves, I think that would be a calling card to maybe change ideas. And I think that's a good question that everybody should ask when they're condemning anything, whether it's abortion or whatever it might be. How would I react in the same situation? And the way we would react personally is not always the same as the way we would feel we would want to react, you know.
I guess the toll mentally and when it comes to your health that some of these people are taking on when they're forced to carry through with a pregnancy that was from, incest or rape is something that I guess a lot of people don't really think about.
Yeah, and that's true. And a lot of these women who have been raped might have a condition that would make their life in jeopardy just to have a pregnancy or to deliver a baby. So the question of abortion will always be a question. And I don't think it's a question that has a good answer. But once again, I'll go back to contraception. I think if more people would practice contraception, there would be fewer pregnancies. And unfortunately, like I said earlier, many religious beliefs forbid contraception. And in that place, they're kind of in the same situation. They forbid abortion, but they'll go ahead and have an abortion because it's imperative at that point. But no, I think contraception and, of course, abstinence is probably out of the picture. But
what do you think about what President Trump said about carrying these babies to term and then deciding what to do with them after?
That was a complete false statement. I don't think there's any medical practice that would ever suggest that you take a perfectly normal baby, wrap it, and then discuss with the mother and the doctor whether you're going to let it live or whether you're going to execute it. Now, there are conditions when, like, for instance, I delivered a baby that had no brain, but it was alive. And I told the nurses to take it up to the nursery and wrap it in a blanket, keep it warm, put it in an incubator. When I got up there, the neonatal resident had intubated the baby and had it on IV lines and had it on a respirator and the whole bit. The baby lived without a brain for 8 months on a respirator, and I found that to be somewhat sinful, but anyhow. But what Trump said about taking a perfectly normal baby and then talking with the mother to decide whether they execute it, that's nothing short of murder. And I don't think there's any medical institution anywhere that would have gone along with that. And yet it was stated very definitely in the State of the Union address by Mr. Trump. And a lot of people believe it.
What are your views on the Supreme Court's reversal of Roe versus Wade?
Well, I think it is really kind of a sad situation when something that was voted on by the public and has been in effect for years and years can just be overturned in a moment's time by the Supreme Court. I guess we have laws in place that allow it, but it seems like maybe there should have been more consideration to it before it was done and made public.